This is the Show Up Show, helping coaches, service providers, leaders, and entrepreneurs to master showing up to build their brand, authority, and grow their business. Whether it's showing up on social media, in front of an audience, on a live interview, or an actual stage, this podcast is going to help you overcome visibility fear to confidently brand yourself as the authority in your industry. I'm Joanne Chan, aka the Confidence and Visibility Queen, and I am on a mission to share how I went from a nobody to the confident leader I am today, what I have learned, and what I have done to build my brand and business from scratch, and help you do the same so that you can make an impact in the world with the meaningful work that you do. Whether you are new to the business world or feeling unsure about public visibility, or you want to be seen and heard in a way that doesn't feel icky but authentic to you, you will discover how to become visible in your own unique way and show up as the confident entrepreneur you have always dreamed about becoming. Now, it's time to get you show up and be confidently visible so you can easily attract more clients and opportunities for yourself. After working as a brand marketing manager in corporate, she ventured on her own and took her love of digital marketing and ran with it. From helping clients earn $10,000 from just 2 Instagram stories, $77,000 from 1 DM, and $28,000 social media launches, she has turned many personal brands and service-based businesses into cash cows. Today, she provides business owners with access to resources, community connections, and trusted guidance, education to start converting on social. Her efforts have awarded her 2 RBC Women of Influence and nominations and a bronze in the 2019 Canadian Marketing Associate Awards in the Customer Experience category. So guys, help me in welcoming the founder and digital strategist of the Wolf Call, Amanda Kohal.
Hi, thank you for having me.
All right. The first place that I want to start with you is to talk about your unique approach to social media, because when I was doing my homework, my research, I came across something that you named the Insta site. So can you first talk to us about that?
Yes, absolutely. And it definitely is a unique approach, not one that social media platforms really lead us to. I had found in years after being on social media, I was obsessed, I think, since day one, before we could even access Facebook. And it was only for people who were going to university in the United States. I was obsessed and I wanted to get in there. But it's really focused on just growing a following on a platform instead of leveraging the tools available to really convert in your business or to get visibility for your business or even to start building community. So it was about 2021 that I had really started to test this approach. I didn't know it was the Insta site at the time, but I was getting a lot busier in my business and I needed to take a break from posting to Instagram every single day. And I was really stressed out about it, as I'm sure a lot of business owners are or have been, because I thought, oh my gosh, if I stop posting, that's it. I'm done. I need to show up every single day, multiple times a day. But I was like, let me just test something, because I had been using Instagram stories for a while. And I noticed that I was getting a lot of DM responses from my stories. And I thought, if I stop posting to the feed, what will happen? Will I still be able to connect with my community? Will I still be able to convert? And what does the visibility look like on stories, since it's primarily a space for people who are already following you? Well, the first couple of days were a little bit unclear to my audience as to where I was, because I was posting every single day. I had almost reached that 10,000 follower mark and growing at a rapid pace by sharing my teachings and learnings and tactics around social media. So the first few days were weird, and then it started to click with my community that, oh, if I want to get new content, I just have to go into stories. That's where Amanda is posting now. So I did this kind of on accident, and then it was almost a year ago that the actual Insta site came about, and it really clicked for me because as I was trying to post to the feed again, I was noticing that reach was incredibly low. And I started to discover platforms like TikTok. And TikTok has an algorithm like I've never seen before in my life. And I said, holy smokes, we're using social media all wrong. We need to be using these tools for one specific thing, and that is it. Whether that is for visibility, whether it is for building community, or whether it is for conversion. So I kid you not, I was lying on the floor with papers all in front of me, and I was just writing out the strategy of, okay, this is what Instagram is going to look like from now on. This is what you do on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, da, 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 da. And it started to really develop from there. So the idea is we have got categories of platforms that are really good at visibility. And then you've got a whole category of platforms that are good at conversion and building community. And that is what the strategy is. So if you could pick one from each category, you're good to go. And you don't need to be doing every little thing on social media.
Wow, yeah. That is like almost the one question that every businesses has, when it comes to social media is like, do I have to get on all different platforms, and do I have to post every day? Do I post the same, or do I post different content, right? Businesses or even coach or entrepreneur who are just getting started, and they really want to build their social media, they really want to build a following, they really want to build their personal brand, or become visible. So what advice would you give to them, or how do they go about choosing the right platform?
I say start with two, because you're going to need a platform for visibility, and then you're going to need a platform like Instagram, like the Insta site, which I'll get into a little bit more why it's called that, what the heck that is, for building community and conversion. So last year is when I really started to take TikTok seriously. I had just kind of been messing around with it. I consumed a lot of content on TikTok. I find it so educational, crazy entertaining. And I started to talk about this whole approach to social and the Insta site strategy. That video went viral a couple of months after I had posted about it, and viral to the point where I was completely booked up until like the end of this year
Wow.
with clients. So I was like, what is this platform? I didn't have to pay for any ads. How was I able to reach almost 1 million people talking about my social media strategy? This is wild. I've never experienced this in the, I don't know how long I've been on Instagram, like 10 years on Instagram. I've never experienced something like this before. The growth is so much slower. So using a platform like TikTok, which is free, for visibility is one of the best ways. And to get that visibility. And I say that too because their algorithm on their For You page, AKA their Discover page, as Instagram calls it, is so specific. If you're consuming on TikTok, they will figure out who you are within about 24 hours. So you sometimes see videos that come across your For You page, and it's a little bit spooky how specific they are to your interests. I don't know if you've ever felt that way before, Joy. Just, how did they know that I was into this?
To be honest, I'm not really a TikTok person. I tried to be on TikTok, and I just didn't like it, to be honest. I prefer Instagram, and so I would say I'm entirely given up on TikTok. I stopped posting on it because I don't see the growth, right? And to me, I don't have to be on all platforms. I'm good with Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and that's fine. And podcast, so I don't have to be on TikTok just to have, just to avoid the feeling of, the fear of missing out. So, but I know what you're talking about, the algorithm. It was showing me things that I'm interested in, topics that I'm keen or I watched before.
Yeah. And then if you pair it with a platform like Instagram, which is really good at cultivating community, especially through the stories because they're connected to the DMs, as well as conversion. That is the space that I built my entire business. And I primarily did it through stories because I boycotted posting to the feed. I didn't really have time to do it, and I wanted to test out a theory. So I really started to lean into Instagram stories and noticed this is the best way to connect with people, break the ice very quickly because you can respond to a story. You can even just react to it with an emoji. And I was converting through stories because typically the audience in your Instagram stories is people who are already following you and they're familiar with the plot. They know your brand, they understand your language, they're familiar with you as a person. So they're much lower in the funnel if they are going to convert. And if they are a viewer, I have found that some of my best referrals have come from people who watch my stories religiously, but they'll never buy from me directly. But they have a friend or an aunt or a cousin or whoever that would. So it is very, very good for that. And I want to go back to your note about LinkedIn. So I would also categorize LinkedIn in the visibility category as well. It's a really, really strong platform. So if you're not a fan of TikTok or you haven't really, figured out how you would want to show up on TikTok, LinkedIn is fantastic. And the cool thing about that space is if I were to Google your name, your LinkedIn profile is the first social media
Yeah.
that comes up. So even if you are not interested in creating for LinkedIn, if you can optimize your profile and have a strong presence in terms of the optimized profile, you're going to achieve that visibility. And if you do want to take it a step further, still not posting to the platform, engaging on LinkedIn is everything. The comment section is content on its own, and it's really powerful. That algorithm is fantastic for organic reach.
Yeah. And I want to go back to something that you said a lot throughout this conversation. You keep, talking about conversion, right? It's all about converting your followers into customer. And I want to know, because I know my audience will be interested to find out as well, how do you create content that converts? Like what makes a piece of content converts, a customer, sorry, a follower into customers?
Mm-hmm. It's a mixture of three types of content. That is focused purely on growth, so very shareable, mass relatable type of content within your industry. Connection, so sharing personal stories or even just your day-to-day in Instagram stories or within your content itself. And then conversion-based content where you're actively positioning your products, offers, and services. So if you can have that trifecta and a nice balance of all three, you're naturally going to start converting. But you can't just post, I'm having this sale, buy this from me, and nothing else to back it up. You need to warm up your audience. They need to become familiar with you, and you really got to build that like, no, trust factor. And I found the best way to do that is through Instagram stories. It's kind of like, if you think about Instagram as a store, a retail store, the feed is the front end display. And this is kind of where the Insta site comes in. It's like a website, but it's for Instagram. So it mimics the experience of a website, all the pieces of information that you would find on a website, the case studies, the testimonials, the high value resources, about you, about the company, all of that kind of stuff. But it's on Instagram. And the reason why we're doing that is because more and more people are going to social media first in their initial search of a brand or business. So why not give them, right, that experience over on Instagram? So it's a static grid and you post it one time, and then the other time you're spending on Instagram is strictly focused on your stories. So that was a little bit of a side note on the Insta site piece, but going back to Instagram as a storefront, you've got the feed as the display feature. Your stories are like the break room, the employee break room, where we're all just chit-chatting, there's jokes happening, you're getting to hear about what people are doing on the weekend, you're learning about your coworkers' hobbies, and it's a lot more personal. Plus, if you're talking on Instagram stories, it really feels like you're on FaceTime with a friend.
Yeah.
And it lets people in a really intimate way, and you still get to decide, what am I comfortable with sharing about my life with my audience? But it really helps to build that like, no, trust factor. And honestly, it makes social media fun.
Exactly. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I love the last one, because now when we think about creating content, it's all about it's because of for the sake of creating content, right? But we forget to have fun. And to me, I also prefer Instagram story because I can just post anything I want. The lunch, the view, right? Or holiday, things like that. Whereas if I were to create content for my feed, then I will have to think strategically. I have to make sure it's perfect, the color is right. So it really it's more fun to create these stories in that way. So thank you so much for sharing. And what are some of the misconceptions about social media marketing that you often come across?
That you need to post every single day to be successful in terms of conversion as well as to get the reach. You absolutely do not. The Insta site, as I mentioned earlier, the feed becomes a static feed. So you're posting about 15 posts on the grid, and any ongoing content is happening in your stories, or you're posting to reels if that's a space that you love to create for, but you're no longer worried about the feed. And this has been tested now for 2 years, that you do not need to post to the feed every single day to grow. So much more growth will happen in your stories, because what happens is the people who are watching, as I said earlier, are familiar with you and the plot, and they're fans of yours or they're past clients of yours. They are becoming advocates for your brand and your business and sharing your content for you.
Yeah, I love that, because whenever I see who is watching my stories, I see a lot of them are my friends. I'll be so discouraged. I was like, they are never going to buy from me, right? They are my friends, or even my sister or my mom. So now hearing that, I have more confidence, because like if they know someone who needs my help, they will be like, oh, I know Joanne is that confidence and visibility coach, right? Or Amanda is a social media expert. So yeah, what so other than posting, so are you saying, because I was actually looking at your Instagram earlier and I saw that you don't really have a lot of posts on your feed. Is that the reason why? And you're saying you don't have to post on your feed. So how often should you post on your feed?
Yeah, so if you create the Insta site, you post once, and the legacy version of it is a 15 grid feed, static grid. So I'm able to grow my Instagram because I'm using TikTok to drive a lot of traffic over to my Instagram, because you can link your Instagram or your YouTube profiles directly on your TikTok profile. It shows the icon of those social media spaces. And I haven't even, first of all, completed my own Insta site, because there's this saying, the cobbler with no shoes. It basically means you're busy helping other people and you haven't gotten to your own stuff. So that's what's been happening with the Insta site, is I've been building Insta sites for clients that I think I only have like a few of my posts up there, but I have been steadily growing because I'm using TikTok for visibility and to drive traffic over to my Instagram page. And my community is so familiar with the way that my Instagram operates that they know to just go directly into stories, and they're going to get fresh content as well as like behind the scenes of what I'm doing on a daily basis.
Right. And now I have a question about algorithms, because we all know that algorithms, keep changing. And how can we, as content creator or business owners or entrepreneur, how can we adapt our content strategies to maximize the reach and engagement despite these constant changes, the trends, or this fancy stuff?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing is don't trend chase, because It's the fastest way you're going to burn yourself out. What I teach is pick like 3 to 5, I call them core topics. Other marketers and social media folks will call them content pillars. Pick 3 to 5 core topics, and that is what you're focused on discussing. On top of those topics, you want to think about a couple of core formats that you're going to create content in. So this will help you avoid a lot of the trend chasing and being on that hamster wheel of content creation. So say you really do love video and you love speaking, make one of your core formats a talking head style. Exactly what you and I are doing right here. You're talking to the camera, and that doesn't have to be, seated in an office, in a static environment. You can even be holding the phone as you're going on a walk, but really that face-to-face interaction with your community is really going to help. And then maybe layer on something else like a vlog style where you're doing a voiceover format, and stick to those and only those for the next like 3 to 5 months. And then you can assess, is my community actually connecting with this? Is there maybe a trend that I do want to try out? How can I optimize this and spice it up a little bit? But less, in my opinion, is always more. And I'm going to get you on TikTok. You're going to become a fan of TikTok at some point, but I will get you on TikTok because it's like so much fun over there. But you're just going to be able to see so quickly how people are reacting to your content that you can optimize it a little bit faster. And less really is more, especially because of TikTok. We just want to see your face. We want to see what you're doing after work. What does your morning routine look like? What does your nighttime routine look? What do you do on the weekends? What are your hobbies? And there's no fancy editing, as you might have noticed on TikTok. It's just someone with their phone camera showing us their experience.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
that's the reason why I don't like about TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just a fan because it's so it's a low lift platform in terms of creation, whereas I find, especially for the feed, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, the feed of Instagram, it's so curated, and we feel a lot of pressure to make it look aesthetic and to say the perfect thing. Whereas over on TikTok, it really is a matter of pick up your phone and either show us, document what you're seeing, or talk to us and teach us something, or entertain, inspire. There's so many different ways to add value.
All right. Okay. I might give it a second chance and give it another try. The talking to you. And I love something that you said, you said something like pick one strategy and just stick to it for like, use it for like 6 months and see whether how your audience are connecting to it, and then, spice it out. How do we know? Because 6 months is a long time, and I feel like a lot of time whenever we try something new and we don't see results immediately, we think it's not working for us, right? So how do we stay consistent in using just one strategy just for the sake of testing it out and working on it and building it and improving it, versus we know something is just not right, it's not working for us? How do we know that?
So the thing with algorithms is it's basically pattern recognition. So if you're using the same format, or you've got your 3 to 5 core topics and you're talking about it over and over and over again, it doesn't matter which algorithm, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, they're recognizing these patterns and the topics and the formats that we are doing over and over and over again, that it's easier for them to place our content and to go, okay, Sam over there would really love to see more of this social media content because she has been engaging with it so much. Or, oh, we recognize that Amanda creates a lot of social media content. I know exactly what to put in the search bar now so that her content can get found because she's always talking about the same thing. And I know it's not sexy to do what feels like repetitive behavior, but consistency really is the key to social media because algorithms recognize patterns.
Yeah, which is why a lot of people are giving those advice where you have to post every day or post 4 times a day, and you have to be consistent, right, in your social media marketing.
I also think too, this is actually an important note, especially with video content. If you're doing YouTube, Reels, TikToks, wherever you're showing up on video, the first time you make a video, like it's not natural to just talk to yourself, to a phone, to a camera. That first video, the second video, even the third video is kind of like your warm up. So while you're creating, and if you do it every day, or if you're batch creating content, after the second or third video, you're warmed up and you're in a flow and you just get better and better each time. So you're removing a lot of that resistance when it comes to creating and that feeling of this isn't working. Like you've got to show up in order for it to work. This is how some of the biggest creators have been so successful. YouTube creator Mr. Beast was doing this over and over and over again. He found his style, his format of video that really worked not only for him and felt natural for him to create, but for his audience as well. And I read somewhere that he will spend, and his team will spend hours just testing different thumbnails, tiny, tiny tweaks to their thumbnail covers for their TikTok to find the ones that work best. But they've got a lot of those metrics and analytics now to view because they've been so consistent with their content that it's easy for them to pick out the stuff that's working and the stuff that's not. So at least if you could be consistent for 3 months, take a look at that data and go, okay, these blogs actually aren't working, not only for me, but for my audience. But guess what? My talking head, the face-to-face content is. And I'm really seeing the interest and I'm starting to see an uptick because I'm being consistent. And I will say, in the grand scheme of things, 3 months, 6 months, it seems like a long time at first, but it's nothing.
Yes.
We're already halfway through the year.
Exactly, I was going to say that. Yeah, and I love that because I always tell my listeners or my community, just you have to show up, like, because there are so many people who are waiting to be perfect, who are ready to have more followers, who are ready to feel more confident, or when they feel like they have a nice background or a nice microphone, things like that. It's like all these are just excuses, but you have to show up and you have to keep improving yourself. And the one thing that I share with my clients inside my program is that I show them my first video, just like you said, right? My first video, our first video, I'm sure we all don't want to see, we don't want to watch it anymore because it sucked, right? But it's just how we started, right? So I always encourage them to just get started, just, you don't have to be perfect. You will find your voice along the way. You will build followers. If you don't show up, no one is gonna know who are you, right? What are you gonna do? So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. I'm sure because I've been telling them, and some of them might need to hear it from someone else and who is saying exactly the same thing, right? So
I've got your back. I've got your back.
yeah, another thing, the last thing that I'll talk to you about is about building a community. Like, what are some of the strategies to build an engaged community? Is it webinar, events, or live? Like, what are some of the strategies you use for a client or for yourself?
I talk with people a lot in the DMs. And I love the DMs because there's the ability to send voice notes, or you can even send video back and forth. So oftentimes, and it's a little bit of a, oh my gosh, I have a voice note waiting. Sometimes somebody will send me a message in the first time interacting and I'll respond with a voice note. But what I've noticed is it breaks the ice so much faster, and I usually get a voice note in response. So now we've already hit another level of our communication. It goes beyond just the text, right? And the text format of the DM. So I love getting in there and just genuinely talking with the people who are consuming my content. I love learning about people, and I love checking out what they're creating as well. And not just because I know the more you engage on social media, whether it's commenting on people's stuff, liking it, sharing it, the more your stuff gets shown. But I am just like genuinely interested in so many of the creators out there, and I'm really careful to engage with content that I'm actually interested in, not just to check it off my list that I did it that day. But I mean, you can really use any media platform out there, but make it something that you're interested in. I feel like people could tell right off the bat if it's not a genuine comment, or you're sharing it just to ride the coattails of their content, right?
Or you just send them a message just to sell them your services, right? It's like I receive so many
Do
comments.
not do that.
I know, yeah, it's annoying, to be honest. And I feel like a lot of people now, they don't respond to DMs because they think you are just gonna sell them right away. So I believe the voice note is gonna be useful in that case, because when they know that you are genuine, you are a real person, it's not just another VA, right, sending out messages, they will trust you, or they will like you, right? Like you said, know, like, and trust. So yeah, that is really helpful. Is there anything else that you want to talk about? Perhaps I didn't ask you or didn't let you before we wrap up this episode.
It went by so fast. I mean, just simplify stuff for yourself if you feel anxious about, maybe showing up on video, or even just anxious around the posting process. Think about what you want to share, because at the end of the day, your social media, this is your house, this is your space. You get to decide what it is that you want to share. And you're going to create the environment that people will interact with. So really think about what it is that comes natural to you, as well as your communication style. And I'll give you an example of this. I'm not a great writer, so I rarely will write really long captions. And if I do, just know ChatGPT is the one editing it for me, because it's not great. So I will steer away from that. But I know that I like, and I'm pretty good at being on video and talking through my messages and communicating that way. So I incorporate content formats that complement my style of communication, and that feels easy for me. So it's not a constant struggle, because if I'm not enjoying doing it, just like a workout that I don't enjoy doing it, I'm not going to do it.
That is so, oh my God, I love that. Yeah, because I also don't like to write. And I'm good with videos, which is why I have podcasts, right? So that is so key. Thank you so much. Yes, guys, go and find out what is your strength, basically. Right? What are you good at, right? Are you good on camera? Are you good at writing? You don't have to do what everyone else is doing. Some of, a lot of people see everyone has a podcast. They just want to start a podcast, but they don't actually enjoy being on a podcast, right? Tell my listeners where they can find you on social media. What is the best place? Is it Instagram? And what is your handle?
Find me on Instagram, and everything else is linked from there, including my TikTok at thewolf.co.
All right, guys, I hope you learned a lot from today's episode. And if you have any question, you can leave a comment below and we will get back to you. If you're looking for more confidence, visibility, and authority building tips and strategies, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss another juicy episode. And also connect with me. If you haven't already, follow me on Instagram at Joanne Chan Coaching. Again, thanks for watching today. And until next time, keep showing up. Success doesn't show up for you until you show up and pursue your own success. Thank you for listening to the Show Up Show with me, Joanne Chan. If you want to create more confidence, visibility, and authority in your business, send me a message on Instagram at Joanne Chan Coaching. DM me the word show up, and I will send you my free signature training, Visibility Creates Possibilities, that you can watch right away to start exploding your visibility today.